In the last video, I fitted case protectors to help protect the bike in case of a slide. Today, I'm adding crash protection to protect the radiator, because you will find that when this bike slides along the ground and you don't have a proper cage on it, then the radiators are the next thing to take the hit. And if you punch the radiator, you'll not only take out the radiator itself, but you'll take out the engine mounting point on the other side. So there's quite a bit to replace if you punch out your radiator. I'm fitting these crash sliders from Bagoros Performance. It looks like a fairly easy install. A lot of people don't like crash sliders. These ones I think are better engineered than most. Given the fact they're fitted with A2 stainless bolts, I think there's a good chance if you do slide into something solid like a curb, then it's just going to flick the stainless bolts out rather than ripping into the frame itself. So I think they're a good compromise between protection, but not so much protection that it damages the frame. Plus, the thing I really like about these is that there's a bolt that runs through to the other side of the bike, and that ties the two sides of the frame together, giving you even more strength. So any torsion that this might apply to this side of the frame is also being carried through to the other side of the frame, so it's making it a much stronger unit. So let's get into it. In the kit there are 3 bolts. So the short, fatter bolt is the one that will go into the bar that goes through. The thin bolt goes into this hole, and this bolt replaces this bolt. Now, with this bolt, if you've not used this before, then be aware that the threads here are covered in powder coat from when they powder coated the frame, so you will need to clean that out, either with a tap preferably. If you don't have a tap, then you can do it with a sacrificial bolt and just work it backwards and forwards. If it's a real sacrificial bolt, you can cut a slot into the threads to help it, and just work it backwards and forwards until the bolt will go all the way through by hand. In addition, you've got 2 spacers, and these are to space this out from the frame. One has a large hole, one has a small hole, so it's fairly straightforward that this one with a small hole goes here, and this one with a larger hole goes here. So all we need to do is to remove this bolt, and we can then assemble this side. And this is a 6 Allen bolt. For this one, we want the Bagoros writing to be facing down, and this is always going to be a little bit of a fiddle to get everything in place as you do it, but if you do it in this order, it's relatively straightforward. And this one's a 5. Just get them started, don't crank anything down, because we want to mount both sides first. Notice here you've got a bit of a cutout, and that's because you've got a bracket here it needs to clear, so make sure you get it this way around. But that's all we need, so let's go and repeat the same thing on the other side. So exactly the same on this side. Remove the engine mounting bolt. What I like about these Bagoros products is that they are well made. Expensive, yes, which is why I had to wait for a sale before I could afford these, but worth it in my opinion for when I'm not running a stunt cage. Now just nip it up on the other side and we can torque it down and the job will be done. Now you may find with this top bar that in order to tighten it up you'll need the old lean around the bike trick, so I've got a socket in both ends, and now I can put enough tension on it to hold it in place. And we finish up on the large ones with a torque of 22 Newton meters. And if you want to torque the bottom one, then it's a 19. Do the same process on the other side, and the installation is done. And the final touch on the installation is to fit the cover over the hole there. And there you have it. And that's all it takes to fit the Bagoros crash bobbins onto your bike. It's a really simple install, a really solid, robust mount that Bagoros Performance have spent a lot of time and effort into engineering to give you something that looks good on the bike and actually performs well as a crash bobbin, which is pretty rare for crash bobbins. And with a case protector down on the engine, you've got a fairly good and robust crash protection system in case of a crash. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.